morning, good afternoon, or good evening. And if you haven't been watching the channel already, where have you been? This is the Race on Oz Gran Turismo 7 Season 51 Division 1 opening round here at the Nurburgring GP. And we had a meet and greet this time last week, which was great, fantastic. That was all well and good to meet a few of the guys. And a few of these guys have jumped across from the 4-hour Watkins Glen race, which was streamed only a few minutes ago, also on this channel. But ladies and gentlemen, very pleased to have your company. And it's only been 5 hours. Here's to another 5. There we have it. Apologies for the lateness of this stream, but like I said, we had the 4-hour race across on the Australia Endurance NZ Championship. But as we take a look here at the Nurburgring GP, and considering the fact that I've been streaming for about 5 hours out of total the total time of the day, I'm joined by a familiar voice who I've already been talking to him for half the day. In fact, Cameron Norris, hello to you.
Hello, how are we? Glad to be back.
Fantastic. It seems like it's been too long, mate, but we've got 14 people on the stream here. This is round 1 of this season. Is there any way to stop that music? The Gran Turismo music? That would be great. I might jump out and just try and stop that music. Sound volume. Where are we here? Race sound effects. Is there any way to change this, Voodoo? What's your experience with Gran Turismo here? As
this is my first experience with Gran Turismo.
Race sound effects, race sound. Okay, that music is very, very annoying. Temporary display settings, car settings, sound volume, race sound effects. Is it BGM?
It might be like a main menu settings.
Actually, what's that? Sound volume, where are we? Broadcast mode. We'll give that a go, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to get back to spectating this race. And it's a little bit different, of course, Cam, as we ride on board with Random. You can see here, interesting circuit this one. You're more familiar with the longer version of this track, of course, aren't you? The Nordschleife, but this is a much shorter version, this circuit here at the Nurburgring.
Yeah, it's an interesting layout that they're offering to use here as well. I believe it's the GP chicane or something they call it. Instead of the quick sweepers, you slow right down into a chicane. So it's a good different layout that doesn't really get used all too much, but I'm looking forward to seeing what these guys can do tonight.
Yeah, so we're going to go with these settings. That's all well and good as Noodles 8771 with a 154.997 here. And there we are, the man on your screen with a stonking lap loop. And then it's Distinct Andrew there, who's not too far behind him. Sidorg is still my hero. There he is, back to back. Some of these guys, you know all too well, Prince, about backing up these endurance races and then backing it up very quickly for another race not too long after. It can take its toll though, can't it, around here?
Yeah, it definitely can, and you know it's a big jumping from one simulator to another, and you know, jumping from ACC to something like Gran Turismo is going to be a huge jump for a lot of these guys.
Now the Nurburgring, this circuit, 23 laps tonight, 7 rounds of this season, of course, so starting at the Nurburgring and finishing at the famous Mount Panorama circuit at Bathurst. Custom weather, early morning, of course, and well, we've got a few interesting facts here. 51st season in Race on Oz Gran Turismo history. 51 is historic as it's the racing number of Bruce Hale, a Race on Oz member who sadly passed away in 2014 after winning back-to-back championships on GT6, known as Ruse's favourite laid-back son. Kiwi was also known for his easygoing nature and quiet determination. And in his honour, Prince, we are running the same car and track combos where possible to replicate one of his title-winning seasons. So a great great display of a mark of respect there for Bruce Hale, and great to see the Race on Oz boys doing that this season.
Yeah, it's definitely good to see the lads getting behind, a fellow driver who sadly passed away, and the memory lives on. No matter whether you're here with us or not, the memory will be living on the track, and it always will be.
As yes, fantastic work there by the Race on Oz boys, and yeah, options. I know, Norm. I'm way ahead of you. I'm trying to get the music sound effect. No, that's the same as where are we here? The music display settings. I've been told turn the game music off. GT menu in the top left.
Options, sound volume, then turn the values to 0 off. So the menu GBM, anything with BGM, just get rid of it.
Yep, BGM.
So like your menu BGM and race BGM and stuff, just turn all that off.
Race BGM, done. Replay BGM. Not a big fan of the BGM, and I think we're going to get all of that off. What's other BGM? We'll get rid of that too. How professional is this? And I think that's everything, Prince.
Yeah,
yep,
good.
that looks all well and good. And we're going to get back into it very, very shortly. In fact, we're going to get into it right now, ladies and gentlemen. And we're going to join back into this lobby, and qualifying underway at the moment, followed by a 45-minute race, of course. And how professional is this? And there's some people sticking with us on the stream, so thank you for that. We're going to spectate this. And we've got a nice view of the pit crew here coming out. And I'm not sure who they're waiting for. They might be waiting for... Hang on, we'll just put the information up on your screen. There we have it. Waiting for Noodles. In comes Noodles. Distinct Andrew going to the top of the table with a 154.673. And I've got to say, the cutscenes in this, Prince, are very nice indeed. Gran Turismo doing that quite well.
Yeah, that's something I haven't had the pleasure of enjoying for a number of years now. I used to enjoy the classic Gran Turismo games, but these animations and stuff like that, it's kind of cool that you get to view that in a multiplayer sense.
Great stuff. We've got a bit of info to get through here, ladies and gentlemen. Like I said, we're looking at this man, Banana Josh, and he's been a Race on Oz member since September 2018, and he is, he's part of the furniture here for Race on Oz, and it is a fantastic league, of course. And the cars, that's the next big thing. The Subaru BRZ GT300 21. Tuning is prohibited, Prince. We know that that's something that people like to do in GT7. Tyre wear times 2. Fuel depletion times 3. It is a 10-minute qualifying session, and Enduros start 30 minutes earlier, of course, but just the 23 laps tonight, as we see not quite as big a field as the race we did a moment ago, but some of the liveries, you got to give it to Gran Turismo. The livery editor, the helmet editor is absolutely fantastic, and it'd be great if we could get something like this in the F1 games on console as well.
Yeah, it's just an added feature that I feel like allows not only your drivers, but your series and stuff to feel a little bit more customizable and personal. And these drivers donning their own custom liveries, albeit I feel like it's a good addition. Some of them look really, really good.
There's MMC. Here we go, P8 for him, 2.3 further back. Then it's Groover, 2.7. Absolutely fantastic liveries here. And then Random going with the nice clean livery, pink wheels, don't mind that at all. And just having a bit of a moment there, Jono Stan. There's some familiar names here, Prince, for the evening. And some of these boys are going to sleep well tonight, that's for sure. Jono Stan down there in 12th. And in the pink livery, Nemo says, "G'day mate, how are you?" And we've shifted.
Suck my balls, mate. Yeah, you're really good, man.
Check whether those sound effects are appropriate for Race on Oz. But anyway, we'll keep pushing along. because Noodles is down there in 13th. Distinct Andrew in the Aussie livery there, green and gold, absolutely fantastic. And Distinct Andrew, love your livery,
Driver of
Nemo.
the second lap bolts, mate. Yeah, you're really good, man.
In there as well. But there we go, P1 for the ACC boys, and Ranger Oz there further back. So a bit of a gap there, 4/10 back. And Distinct Andrew, then it's Ranger Oz, Ridwan, F1. And we'll get to some of those liveries in a moment. Sidor rocking the Logitech Subaru livery. And let's just have a look here at some of these liveries. They're absolutely fantastic. And I've got to say, I think we are getting close to the end of this qualifying session. And there's a lot of info to take in, ladies and gentlemen, because look at me, says Nemo. Look at me, says Nemo. And where is Nemo? Let's have a look there. He's rocking the Senna McLaren livery as the lights have gone out there. But let's take a look at this grid lineup here. It's Distinct Andrew with a 154.281, and then it's Noodles with a 154.8. So a massive gap there, and Distinct Andrew, I tell you what, he keeps getting it done wherever he's racing. Then it's a 155.0 to Ranger Oz. Ridwan with a 155.2 in fourth. Sidorg in fifth. Speedy Tyres in sixth. The Viper in seventh, then it's Banana Josh in eighth, Nemo in ninth, Groover in 10th, Jono Stan in 11th, and MMC in 12th. And Random wants 2 minutes, please. My wheel died, and the race start is going to be postponed a little bit longer. We do apologise. We're jumping on a little bit late here as well because we started late, didn't we? The endurance race, the 4 hours of Watkins Glen, ran a little bit over time, but don't you dare think about going for a shower, Prince, because we've got another 45 minutes coming up.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It's been a long time since I've had the privilege of watching any Gran Turismo and all that kind of stuff, and I've never watched it in a league racing format. So, you know, cars that I've never seen or driven or any of that kind of thing before as well. It's shaping up to be another good race.
It's going to be absolutely fantastic. Ladies and gentlemen, you can see there on your screen, they are the qualifying results. Look at that. 154.281 for Distinct Andrew, and 7/10 clear, nearly 8/10 clear of Ranger Oz there. And then Ridwan F1, Sidorg in fourth, Speedy Tyres in fifth, Viper in sixth, Nemo in seventh. And yeah, that's pretty sweet. And Nemo says, look at me, I'm starting on mediums. And Groover, 33 in 8th, 1.9 seconds off the pace. And there we have it, continuing the rest of the order. Banana Josh in 9th, MMC, Eat H in NZ, that's a mouthful in 10th. Rounding out your top 10, then it's Random in 11th. Jono Stan in 12th, and Noodles in 13th, who did not set a time. Jono also 15 seconds off the pole position time. And Mac says he's backing up the 4 hours with another stream. I won't be able to talk tomorrow, Mac, but congratulations too for your boys in the 4-hour race there. But we are almost ready to go, I think. We're waiting for the countdown. And 2 seconds off the pace, says Groover. He says he might go have to go back to Division 1B. And I've got to say, if I can take anything out of this, Prince, if you look back at the first ever stream that I did, it was all over the shop. So hopefully there's only one way to go, and that is up. But we are ready, ladies and gentlemen. Enough of me talking about what I have and haven't done, because we are ready to go racing here in round 1 of Season 51 Race on Oz Gran Turismo 7 Division 1 here at the Nurburgring. And we are almost ready to go racing here. 45 minutes of race time, and we're missing a couple here, of course. Mint Matt, one of my favourites, Diswood, missing round 1. Also, Jimmy! Jimmy Payload's meant to be in here too, Prince, one of our favourites from a few hours ago. And all of the settings which I'm looking at, there's far too many to name, but Groover saying, I'm a beginner, but there's nothing wrong with that, Prince. You've got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. You know, whether it's starting out with a controller or, you know, your first time on a wheel or, you know, whether it be trying out a new simulator for the first time, it's, you know, the first times are always the best moments. So enjoy it. It's a big learning process and, you know, just jump along for the ride.
And we are finally ready to get underway. And who's your favourite driver, Trev? Well, you've just put me on the spot there. I can't really have favourites in the position I'm in, Sideorg, so why does he ask these questions, Prince? I've got to say that that is, I'm going to get back to you on that one. You've really put me on the spot. Not that I have favourites, Matt, but yeah, Matt is missing round. Matt is missing round one as well. Why doesn't Wilco drive in this? That's a very good question. Why doesn't Wilco get on a real driving simulator? Why doesn't he get on Gran Turismo 7? But no, absolute privilege. My voice is gone, but an absolute privilege to be a part of this. A game that I think you and I both grew up playing, Prince, Gran Turismo.
Yeah, the good old days. You know, I miss the early days of you know, sim racing. I didn't get a wheel until I was older, but you know, it's sim racing games have come quite a way, and Gran Turismo definitely the staple mark of what I grew up on.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. We might just take a look at the qualifying results while we wait to get underway. And, well, it's probably an ideal time to tell you this story, Prince. I was 26 before I had my first time, and it was quite interesting as well because, yeah, I was 25, and that was my first experience I ever had, and that was on the Logitech G29. So that was
Oh, I
my
thought you were gonna come out and say now you've got Tay Tay, but
that was my
sorry.
first time, and first time on the wheel, Nemo. And I've still, and it's turned 10 this year. The Logitech G29 still goes hard as ever, and Wilco has gifted a sub to Sideorg, and we don't have favourites. And he doesn't want to know when Trev popped his wheel cherry. And that's what I was thinking of. And Wilco says he prefers arcade games. Oh, I'm losing the plot here. Okay, anyway, so let's push on Twitchy P1. And let's... who's your daddy? Who's your daddy and what does he do? And Distinct Andrew P1. And Sideorg, thank you. He says, Mr. Trev, where are we going here? And... don't think Gran Turismo has a countdown timer for the race. I don't believe Nemo, Nemo, you're not Nemo, you're Norris, and that would
We're
be
both Camerons.
extremely handy. I used to tag you boys in I used to get the wrong tags, didn't I, on Facebook as well. And someone's had all day to practice for this. And who's your least favourite driver, Trevor? Well, I can't say that either. And why is it Cameron Nemo? And we're waiting on Ranger Oz. And there we go. We're just waiting to get into it. What a absolute... Here we go. 7 seconds. The countdown is on. And good, because I am Sidwag. And Sidwag is, I think we're ready to go. We're ready to go. It's actually happening. Don't tell me I've got to get that heads-up display back again, because that's going to be an absolute disaster. But we're almost ready to go. Race on Oz, Season 51, Division 1, Round 1 here at the Nurburgring. And you can see there I'm rocking the SF23 with the Aston Martin livery at the top of your screen. And this is great too, Voodoo. It shows my progress in Gran Turismo 7 for the world to see. And yeah, level 26, collector points, and 5.5 million credits. That'd be great if my bank account looked like that. But we are done with qualifying, and now we're ready to get into the race. Don't tell me it's already started. Please don't tell me it's already started. and there we go. We're going to get the information up on our screen, and we are ready to go racing. In fact, we are racing, I think, here at the moment. Oh, Noodle's getting a little bit twitchy there. And what's going on here, Prince? It's got Noodles in P1. And Season 51. Didn't know I was watching Ahmed Marduk or Arava's career mode videos. But this is not a formation lap. Voodoo, this looks very serious indeed.
Yeah, it definitely does look very serious. I think we might have missed the memo of when the race was actually starting, but
I thought it would.
Nonetheless, we're here, and Noodles is taking us away.
All distinct, Andrew, getting a bit too much curb as we approach through the Schumacher S's there. And my goodness me, what a dickhead I am. Anyway, as we can see, we might have missed the start of the race. I thought we would automatically load into that. I do apologise, but we've got 8 people, more than 8 in fact, 4th, 5th and 6th. There's Sideorg. I see you lurking. Join the stream if you haven't already. Banana Josh side by side with Viper. And Nemo is down in 9th as well in the Senna McLaren livery. Then it's MMC getting a little bit switchy through there. Groover in 11th. 6 seconds off the lead. And is that Banana Josh having a moment there? There's Random Jono. And Banana Josh now right to the back of the field. He looks like he's had an incident on the opening lap of this race. We don't have a countdown timer, so we're going to go off that time in the bottom left-hand corner of your picture. 45-minute race, and it's Noodles leading this race. Absolutely loving these liveries at the moment. Still a dozen people sticking with us. Back-to-back streams. You've got to love it, Prince. I know what you're going through there when you do some of those 24-hour ones. Noodles running very wide. Track limits, Prince? What track limits as they run wide there?
Yeah, I'm interested. You know, obviously I've not played Gran Turismo in a number of years, so I'm not quite sure on what track limits would be here, but track limits that I know, you know, you're right on the cusp, if not taking a warning from race control for that one.
As you can see, Noodles out in front, 6/10 clear of distinct Andrew there. And there's a good battle going on here. RaceOnOz and Ridwan. Look how close it is now between these two. 3rd and 4th all together there. And then it's Sideorg further down in 5th. And the Kiwi, just Australians and New Zealanders in the lineup here tonight. The Kiwis and the Aussies, they get together. We see it in the Australian-New Zealand Endurance Series. And they're here once again tonight. As you can see, 6th Speedy Tyres. Viper down there in 7th, who he was the one that sent me the invite to commentate on this. And what a hilarious time we've had. And good evening, good sirs, says Beaky, long-time watcher, first-time poster tonight anyway. Been racing, so need an update, please. I'll let you give him an update, because Beaky, how many hours has Beaky missed, Prince? How many hours has he missed?
Well, I think we're coming into our 6th hour, I think, now, aren't we?
And 6th hour, why was I saying it's a 45-minute race? It's 23 laps. Weird, man. Okay, and yeah, back-to-back streams. Don't advise it, I tell you what. But anyway, a good evening, good sirs. Thank you, Beaky from Afghanistan in Karingal. Who's the car doing some twerking on the straight? And Beaky, you've missed a lot, to put it mildly. And ooh, there is a Viper now. Just a personal best in that sector. That's okay. There's a Grand Prix here tonight, so there's a Grand Prix on tonight. So I was going to stay up late anyway. I've consumed, Prince, far too much Red Bull for one human being in a 24-hour period as well.
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking of something. It was like the tip of my tongue to come back with. It was going to be really funny, but you know, I might just leave that there and say we've got a fish out of water here. Nemo doing quite well. You know, what looks to be about 10 seconds or so off of P1, but you know, sitting P10, putting in some best laps, best sectors, I should say, and you know, he's pedaling his way through.
Certainly is. Don't forget, round 1 of this championship. 7 rounds in this series. Race on Oz, Gran Turismo season number 51, Division 1 here tonight. We're racing the Subaru BRZ GT300. And like we said, tuning is prohibited. And that's something that we associate with GT7. And we do apologise. We had a bit of a late start here tonight. of course. Oh, Nemo destroying an innocent bollard there, but we might get back to the front of the field. Banana Josh and Jono there almost having a moment. There's not a lot of respect for that final chicane there. As Banana Josh all off the circuit, and that's going to cost him because now Jono's going to have a look down the main straight here, Prince. On lap 4 of this race, it's going to be tight. Is he going to get a slipstream here?
Oh, it's going to be close coming into T1. It's a late break if you're going to try and get it done, but you know he looks like he's going to sit behind and wait until the next best possible outcome and opportunity.
And there we have it, IGR. In fact, it's LGR. You got me again. He says, hello, hello. How you going? What do you know? Oh, we've been streaming for 6 hours, Banana Josh. And just like in Mario Kart, living up to his name there, he might have slipped on a banana there because he's staying in 12th, but for how long, we don't know. Jono Stan in P13. There we have it, and we might go back to the sharp end of the field. And here's Viper. 5.5 off the lead, and a second up to Sideorg, and the second ahead of Speedy Tyres. I have been going to put it that way. And Beaky says, no mate, practice and race for RPR. So there's so many racing leagues around.
Hello, possums!
And thank you, Beaky. Oh, hello, possums indeed. And we've got some intense battles through the field here. Welcome to GT7. As the cars are doing funny things on the straight here. Cam down the inside, Ridwan on MMC, Eat. And it's very tight here, 7th, 8th and 9th. Very close here as we come through to the final part of the lap. Down the inside, can he make it stick? Around the final corner, and now Groover is getting his groove on there down the main straight, side by side. Look at this, what a battle. We're seeing some close battles here tonight.
Yeah, you know, the pressure that Ridwan was putting on, you know, he managed to get away with a really good move. They're going too wide into T1. Hopefully this doesn't end in tears. They've gone through relatively smoothly. Groover sitting P8 now. This is a good battle to be tuned into, I think.
As LGR Drex says, why don't we run an F1 league? That's a very good question. I don't know, maybe I'm actually quite quick on the F1 game. Should we run an F1 league at some point in time? That is a very good question. Not one for us to answer probably, but maybe something for the organisers, do we think, Prince? Take it to the top?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe take it to the top. I mean, didn't you beat me once in an F1 race, I think?
Might have been a Assetto Corsa, was it? No. No.
Oh, you beat me in something at one point in time.
Yes, and we might say by default, and there we have it. He said it. Wilco saying, because Trev is good at F1, so it wouldn't be a proper broadcast. And Cam doesn't like F1 games. As let's have a look here at Noodles. And Noodles now, it's only half a second. 1, 2 and 3, they're very close. And through the Schumacher chicane, which is probably not called the Schumacher chicane, but given we're in Germany, why not? As around the final corner, here we go, and it looks like Andy Pandy is lining up a move here. Distinct Andrews lining him up on the start-finish straight down into turn 1, and he's flashing and doing all sorts of things here to get this move done down the inside. And Beaky says, I've seen you on F1, Trev. No way, if you beat Voodoo, he may have been asleep. And LGR saying it's the Schumacher S's earlier in the lap, so I was onto something there, Cam. I just got the wrong corner.
Yeah, I get a little bit stuck with the corner names here, but, you know, nonetheless, Noodles and Distinct Andrew are having a right old battle, and not far behind you got Ranger Oz looking to try and get his way into this little battle. And, you know, I mean, look, we're only lap 6 of 23 provisionally, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this is going to unfold.
So let's wait and see 1, 2 and 3 all together there. As I've got to say that we've got some info, and of course Noodles, who is leading this race here tonight. he's doing an incredibly good job keeping in front. And Noodles, Paul Candelonian, and I hope I've pronounced that correctly, but British Touring Car Championship livery, and a RaceOnOz member since October 2020. 11 wins, 38 podiums, and 14 pole positions. And get this, Voodoo, an SBS Speed Week competitor, if you don't mind, as well. Can do it everything, this man.
Yeah, he's got a bit of everything to his name, and that's something I find a lot of these Gran Turismo drivers have got is, they've been a part of anything and anything you could think of. So, yeah, it's definitely very impressive.
Certainly is. He leads this race. Distinct Andrew in P2. Pump his tyres up. There we go. We'll go. As this corner is the Schumacher S's. Thank you. That was that corner that you saw a moment ago. The last chicane is the Potato S's. Why does he do it every single time? And old Spud Regis up and about. Distinct Andrew. Let's have a look at where are we looking at now. There's a lot of info on Matt Simmons, and I'm tempted to read it all out in one go. God, I love him. And where are we here right now? And who are we looking at? Andrew Lee, Andy Lee. We're looking at him at the moment. RaceOnOz member since April 2021. He likes long walks on the beach and romantic. No, no, just kidding. He's the fastest GT7 driver from Distinct Esports, and there's a whole lot of other accolades there. But what sticks with me is it's not Andy Lee from Hamish and Andy, and I think Andy is the taller one and Hamish is the shorter one, but this man very, very quick, and very quick indeed. And boy, the pressure that Noodles is under here is immense, although that gap now is steadied to be 0.7 of a second, but it's still very close. 1, 2, and 3 all together. Ranger Oz in third, Viper in fourth, zoom, and Speedy Tyres. This is a close battle as well. Sideorg and Speedy Tyres. Those tyres are going to have to be speedy here because Sideorg's coming up quickly at a rapid rate of knots here.
Yeah, he seems to be pedaling pretty quick, and we mentioned it a couple of times. Quite a few of these lads have just jumped over from doing a 4-hour race at Watkins Glen on ACC, so it's probably quite a substantial jump for him. But a cool feature I've been noticing is we can see their previous lap times as Sidor gets a little bit hairy out of the chicane, but they're very consistent, very, very consistent amongst these guys.
And you can see how consistent it is. Any pit stops during the race? Yes, we do have one mandatory pit stop here in the race, in these races here tonight. And I missed the 4 hours, just woke up at 2:30 p.m. for me. And that's more the voodoo hours there for the Prince. But you can see how consistent those lap times are. A 1:55.6, a 1:55.6, and then a 1:59.6, which isn't really that consistent when you look at when you start reading those times out, Voodoo. They're not awfully consistent, but still, consistency is the key, is what I'm trying to say. And yeah, LGR woke up at 2:30, and we're getting some of our more late night viewers here tonight. Prince on now, and Wilco says there's more passing in this race than passing around the Devil's Lettuce with Bob Marley. And Bob Marley spending a lot of time on the grass. And there we go. How dare he talk about the Devil's Lettuce? Because I'll tell you one thing we're going to talk about, and that is the vast amounts of info I have on Sideorg, which I can't quite find at the moment. But I can tell you what, we'd better get back to the racing. And the racing, Sideorg, very quick indeed. A little mistake there. He's doing his best, isn't he? But Sideorg now zoom through the Potato S and coming up to the Schumacher. Schumacher all over the bollard there. Bang! And an innocent bollard has fallen victim to Speedy Tyres. And around the final corner, my God, if Sideorg's causing this sort of panic. Who's going? Oh boy. Yeah, Yep. So that is that's fantastic. But we're almost at half distance. Where has this race gone? Nigerian Princess Sidorg runs a little bit deep into that corner, and Noodles and Andrew going at it. These two, it is not letting up here at the moment for P1, and Rangers just sitting back, thinking if these two come a cropper, I'm going to Stephen Bradbury my way through.
Yeah, it's one of those ones where these guys, I feel like the nature of this race between these two drivers at the moment, I hope it doesn't end in tears, but it just feels like it's leading that way. Like the pace is fiery. They're equally trying to get moves done, but they just can't get it done. So yeah, I got a feeling at some point someone's going to get a little bit too eager, and it might be Ranger Oz coming through, but we'll see.
We shall see, ladies and gentlemen. We're almost at half the race distance here. We are approaching half race distance. So close, isn't it? And you can see the consistency. 1:55. Look at those times from lap, what do we got? From lap 2 to 8. Look at that, 55.3s. That is consistency at its very best. And I've got to say, as distinct Andrew Noodles runs a bit wide, this is for the lead. And look at this, Andrew into the lead, and job done. What the hell is going on now? Nice to meet you. It certainly is. I'll do my best. What on earth? I don't think that's the chat, but forget about that, because now we've got a new race leader, and now Noodles is coming back at him. The number 15 Thai green curry and chicken noodles is going to have a crack at him here into turn 1, but Andy takes the lead. And wow, what a race we are witnessing here, Princeton.
Yeah, this is some killer racing between these two guys. Distinct Andrew, I think you mentioned not long ago that he's the quickest driver for that esports team, and he's definitely proven his paces here, giving Noodles a run for his money. And not far back, I believe we were watching a battle between Sidorg and Speedy Tires as well. So yeah, these battles just keep developing.
And there's Ranger Oz in third. Viper, he's dropped back a little bit, 6.6 seconds now, the gap between him and Ranger Oz. You can see as we approach the hairpin here at the Nurburgring, Speedy Tires and Sidorg's dropped back a little bit. And that's getting Ridwan F1 very interested. I'm not sure what happened to Sidorg there, but he's dropped back a couple of seconds. That gap now 3 seconds.
Yeah, might have been a mistake that we haven't seen, whether it was a solo mistake or, one unfortunately with another driver. But, yeah, he's lost a little bit of time, a little bit of ground, but I'd hope he can claw something back. With 13 laps remaining, you'd hope that gap would come down a little bit.
And the tyres required are the medium.
Shame you're too old to have driven here, really.
I am too old to have driven here, but
You would have liked it.
yeah, shame you wasn't fast enough to get to Formula One.
Thank you, LGR, as Orse Medicine says, what tyres are the leaders on? That is a great question. I think if they're the yellow marked tyre, it might be the medium. And if it's, I think the medium, the race medium and the race soft are the two designated compounds for this race. And so hopefully that answers your question there, Orse Medicine. But I've got to say that since he's taken the lead, he's out on his own now. He's extended that gap out in front. And I've got to say the track limits are very different on GT7 here, Nigerian Prince, because yeah, they're using every bit of track available to them, aren't they?
Yeah, it's kind of throwing my head around a little bit, because I would have already been through pit lane 3 times for track warnings.
So they're just, especially if you look at that, what is it, sort of turns 3 and 4. If you look at next time around, they're going completely off the circuit, aren't they? At that part of the track, it's just doing my head in. Maybe I'm too used to time trial on F1 or something, but well, you dip a wheel over the white paint and bang, they get you. But things starting to settle down. No limits at turn 4 we're hearing. So, yeah, turn 4 seems to be the corner where we're seeing it, but apparently there are no limits at turn 4, Prince, because they're just going well wide of that, well wide of the mark there as we take a look at Viper, the man who invited me to do this. Hopefully he's not having any second thoughts, Prince. I've made an absolute balls at the start and had some jazzy music playing and then invited my own co-commentator in and had some dodgy sound effects on the stream as well. So how good are we travelling here? And do you reckon Viper's regretting his decision? I know it's only round 1.
He's probably sitting there going, fuck man, why did I go through with this?
Why did he ask this man? And there was no pressure leading into tonight either as well. I think we were called the best racing channel in the country. And, well, he's close. We're second best because V is for Voodoo Live is the number 1. Get amongst it and shout out yourself, Prince. We've got 13 people watching. We've got some night owls amongst us here. And my goodness, what time have we been on? I think this is 6th, 7th hour we have been on the channel for, ladies and gentlemen. There's Viper, there's Speedy, and wait for it, turn 4 here as they go off and, yeah, using every bit of the track, and why wouldn't you? And Div 1B race, Division 1B race finished about 10 minutes ago. Might have a few more drop by, so we're expecting some more to this late night rave party, so that's going to be interesting. Groover is 25 off the lead, 10 seconds behind Sideorg, and I'm wondering when we're going to see the pit stops. When are we going to see the pit stops start? That's going to be interesting here as MMC in 9th, Random in 10th. Oh, a bit of a twitchy moment there, and this man Nemo, who's picked up a penalty. Interesting stuff, as I think Banana Josh might have come in the pits. He's out of the pits now. And we briefly see that graphic, Voodoo. It's come to my attention that he went from the mediums, I believe, to the softs. But he's also got a 3-second penalty as well.
Oh my goodness, this is fantastic!
Yeah, it's the same with Nemo and Banana Josh, right? They've both got penalties applied to their name by the looks of things. So I'm not sure what kind of contributes to a penalty here on GT7, but, you know, you'd maybe think sped a little bit in pit lane, or, you know, track limits don't seem to be getting penalties for it. So I'd be interested to know what gives it to you.
And pit lane infringement, saying Oz Medicine for the, which gets the 3-second penalty. And if it's not bad enough getting a 3-second penalty, it's even worse to get publicly shamed for it, isn't it, as you drive around and then you've got it sticking above your head. +3, there we go, we're going to get back to the front, and this man is in a class of his own. 3.37 seconds is the gap, and since he's got past old Noodles, he's really kicking on. And shame.
Suck my balls, mate. Yeah, you're really good, mate.
Suck my balls. Thank you, Beaky. Beaky's just using all of his sound effects up there. Wilco, shame. I'm Darren Hinch, and thank you very much. Is that Darren Hinch, Wilco? Shame. And showing my age there, good old Darren. He's had a couple of new livers and he's still kicking on. But Ranger Oz now, this race has settled down a little bit. Viper now is coming under some attention, close scrutiny by Speedy Tyres in P5, and thank you everybody for joining us, and you and me, Cam. This is a journey into the unknown, isn't it? I've done a lot of racing on GT7 or GT in general, but not much commentary. As Sideorg in 6th, Groover in 7th, Ridwan, good old Darren, and it certainly is Beaky, Darren Hinch all the way from Karingal in Victoria. And you've got to feel for Sideorg, Speedy Tyres, Nemo, Jono, and whoever else raced in the 4 hours on a completely different game not even an hour ago. It was hard enough for me. Oh, Ridwan getting a little bit gravel happy there, and there's big giant yellow arrows levitating in the air, which is interesting. I'm guessing that's where the sectors finish, Prince, but like I said, it's a journey into the unknown now as we take a look at Nemo in 10th.
Yeah, I've been trying to figure out what they are. I think they're sector markers, but I mean, I'd like to think there's some kind of DRS marker or something too.
Yeah, they're just sort of floating, aren't they, strangely in the air. But Nemo now in P10. gee, that livery, I tell you what, that livery brings back some memories. And I don't want to bore you to tears, Nigerian Prince, but I've got to say that that livery just reminds me of the Grand Prix, the Adelaide race in Adelaide. I think it might have been 93 for Ayrton Senna. And that livery, of course, 1993, I think it was. And there's a 5-year-old kid by us running around. Daddy, Daddy, get me a hat, get me a hat. Shut up, son. And yeah, so, and I remember that race very clearly, my first ever Grand Prix. And I remember cracking the shizers because the cars were way too loud, Daddy, too loud, Daddy. Shut up, son.
Oh, God!
And, oh, God. And, yep, fantastic stuff. Jono there in P11. And I'm not sure whether the Race on Oz boys will like the history lesson that I can sometimes give. But when things get a little bit dull, you've got to add some content. And I never forget when I first walked in and called my first game of Australian rules football on local radio. They told me, Voodoo, they told me to just keep talking. You can't have any dead air. So that's the most important thing.
Yeah, so I start providing some dead air. Like, yeah.
It's probably not the best way to put it, considering what Wilco is putting in the chat. He's broken me. I've lost it. As someone's come into the pits, it's Side Org. Look at this. Look at these animations here. It's better than a Assetto Corsa, isn't it? You just sort of come in and nothing happens. And,
Look how enthusiastic they are. What if the F1 teams were this enthusiastic when they were doing that?
That's the cameraman there. Look. Oh, in he comes. Let's have a look then. Off go the soft tyres, or it could be the mediums that went off. I know that he's got soft tyres on. He's putting in 50 laps of fuel, 60 laps of fuel, 70 laps of fuel. Onto the medium tyres with 70 laps of fuel there. Prince.
Or is that litres?
Litres, I think it might have been. Yep, beg your pardon. Litres of fuel with 8 laps to go. And 70 litres. Thank you for confirming that. Don't tell Brad about Ayrton Senna. And if he's watching there up in Nowra in New South Wales. But Groover in 7th. Haven't mentioned his name an awful lot. But he's running the quadrant? No, I don't think it is. But we're going to have a look at this man. And where is Groover? Captain Risky? No, it's not that. And Groover is a great lad. And I'm just trying to find this information here. But he's a great bloke, and he's been a member of Ruse since January 2013. Wow, he's coming up for some long service leave. He's the reigning Div 1B champion and GT6 Season 3 Div 3 champion. And he's the Ruse GT Sport Season 5 Div 2 champion as well. And that's a pretty impressive CV if I don't say so myself.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more to that. And, you know, one thing that's been kind of getting me as well is the livery. You mentioned quadrant, like I believe that's Lando Norris, if I'm correct, and it does give me the quadrant feel to the livery, so I feel like you're on the money.
You can see there, very nice livery indeed, as Kart Dude from the Launceston Karting Club has joined us. Most people will run softs to mediums. New mediums are still slower than new softs, so Kart Dude, thank you for the information. And this is opening night here for a Race on Oz Gran Turismo. Looking for an overcut there. Gran Turismo Season 51 Division 1. Round 1 here tonight at the Nurburgring. 23 lap race. I was saying 45 minutes, but it might end up being about 45 minutes. We've ticked over to 30 there in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, and we've got a few more guys jumping on, of course. So it might be the Div 1B boys. I'm just trying to get my head around. Oh, Viper. That is very wide there at turn 4, and Sideorg is making some advances on him here. Sideorg, you can see there, that gap now 1.2 to this man, Viper, and making some advances, and they're not overly, I reckon they're unwanted advances here. Nigerian Prince as we approach the hairpin.
Yeah, it's an interesting point for these two to be in. From what I could see, they've both got about a 14-second give or take margin to the guys in front and behind. So they're kind of in no man's land together, so to speak, after their pit stops. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this unfolds with Sidorg slowly catching on, but towards the tail end of this lap, I feel like Vipers kind of started to pick up the pace a little bit. So yeah, I think they're going to be a group of people to watch as Speedy Tyres, our provisional P1 runner, is into pit lane.
Into the pits comes Speedy Tyres. Love this pit lane work here on Gran Turismo. And wow, they're standing to attention, aren't they, as what's happening here? We're taking on fuel. And there we go, 47 litres of fuel, and then onto the mediums for Speedy Tyres. Back out onto the track. Where's he going to come out? P4, I think, ahead of this battle between Viper and Sidorg, as this race is going by very quickly. And in terms of weather, Prince, it looks a little bit foggy out there, a little bit hazy. But what are we looking at for the time progression and tyre wear? Is going to be a factor here late in this race, I reckon. There's 5 times on the early morning start and then 5 times on the time progression, so we might end this race not quite in the dark, but very close to it. And Speedy gone for that long strategy. At the same time on fuel in the pit stop, says Can't Do. The overcut was OP in Division 1B. And there's a man who I go a long way back with. Actually, their Nigerian Prince, right back to the F1 2012 days, Can't Dude. Good memories, carefree days those ones were, that's for sure. But Monza on F1 2012, I can forget, RB8 I think it was back in the day, as a long time ago there. Sidorg now in 6th, well clear of Gruber, and oh, look at this battle. We've entered a spicy time, as you can see. Look at this, Gruber and Ridwan, as Ridwan going over the gravel at the Schumacher S and bringing a lot of gravel back onto the circuit. That's not going to be great for everyone else out there, and I think he's lost some time as well, Prince.
Yeah, definitely not the most ideal situation for him. He seems to, from what we can see, he seems to get right up close, but it just seems to make silly mistakes like we see him doing, running a bit wide and grabbing the gravel trap. So, providing I think he doesn't do that, I think he might have a good chance at P7.
As we can see, P8 for him, Nemo and MMC. It's going to turn into MMA, isn't it, the way it's going? These two are very, very close indeed. Nemo.
Fantastic!
And Wiz94 is following. Wowee, that is fantastic. There we have it. So Wiz is now following the channel. Thank you for the follow, and look at this battle. Zoom! And thank you for the follow, Wiz, but MMC getting very close indeed, and not quite close enough. And you can see there's still plenty of time, but it's counting down now. Lap 18 out of 23 of this race. Jono in 11th, just outside of that top 10, and he's a minute behind. Then Banana Josh, who followed the channel a little bit earlier on in the endurance race we broadcast earlier in the evening. And then it's Random in 13th, and Distinct Andrew still with the fastest lap, a 1:54.258. As Random, a bit of Tokyo drift there, Prince, and he's off the circuit. But still down in 13th position. And now this man out front, Distinct Andrew, is 9.4 ahead. So he's in an absolute class of his own. And he is a GT7 finalist, 12 wins, 6 podiums, and a 2-time Division 1 champion for RaceOnOz, multi-time OCE Nations Cup champion. And so, boy, if anyone knows to steer a car on GT7, it is this man, Prince.
Yeah, definitely. You've got to you've got a collective resume with a lot of good titles to your name, and he's definitely coming out here and showing that he deserves those titles to his name. As he's got about a 9.5 second gap over P2, which is quite a bit around here in such a short race.
Certainly is, and Distinct Andrew leads the way, 4 laps and a bit to go. Noodles in second, and Ranger Oz still in P3 there, and he won't be happy with that. He'll want more than that, will Ranger Oz, and you can see as we look throughout the field, Ranger Oz there. I'm just trying to find out. Look at that, down on that sector. But less than a second now, so this battle for P2 is going to stay spicy here before the end of this race. Speedy Tyres in 4th. And 5th for Viper there. Side Org has dropped back a little bit there. Groover doing his own thing in 7th. Ridwan F1 in 8th, Nemo all on his own there in 9th, and then MMC rounding out your top 10. Jono still in 11th, Banana Josh as well, and Random in 13th, down at the back of the field. Lucky for some, but he's still going around at the back. And JJ Penguin says, great to see you broadcasting for Race on Oz. Awesome job. Much appreciated, JJ. Thank you very much for that. And thank you for the kind words. I've got to say, as we get back to our race leader for the time being, and, well, we had a few teething problems at the start. Yeah, just adjusting from Assetto Corsa and the spectator mode on that to the spectator mode on GT7. But after those teething problems, we've come good, and it's been an interesting race to say the least, Cam.
Yeah, it has been interesting. It's been filled with some really good battles and some moves that I didn't even think were possible. But with all thanks to GT7, we've got these awesome cars, and they look great too.
Look fantastic, and as always, for the best part of 20 years, when it comes to Gran Turismo, the visuals are absolutely stunning. As we can see, Distinct Andrew, he's got the fastest lap of the race. I reckon he's going to take the win here with only 3 or so laps remaining. And boy, if you're a fan of the Kid Buyers Twitch channel, it's fair to say, Cam, that you've got your money's worth today.
Yeah, definitely have got your money's worth if you've been around for the duration of today. And something I do want to remind you, if you're sitting in chat at the moment and you haven't hit the follow button, there is lots planned coming up on Trev's channel here on Twitch. So definitely be sure to hit the follow button if you haven't. And
it's fair to say that this is the first time we have been broadcasting here on the Kid Buyers Twitch channel for Race on Oz. Like I said, things will be a lot smoother next week as we look forward to round 2 of this championship because we're heading to Deep Forest Raceway for the sprint round. That's it. And 2 sprint, there we go. We're going to confirm the details later in the week, but round 2, 30th of July, mark that down in your diary from 8 p.m. Eastern time for qualifying, and then 8:10 for the race start. And like I said, it'll be a lot easier next Sunday night because I won't have to worry about another race, and then things got a little bit hectic there, changing streams and whatnot. But 2 laps to go until the end of this race. Thank you to everybody for joining us. It's been absolutely fantastic. Speedy Tyres there in 4th, so will things remain as they are? That's the question. I'm trying to see whether this battle's continuing here between Groover and Ridwan, and this is not over yet here, Prince.
Yeah, no, this battle's definitely heating up. Ridwan's slowly been clawing away. He's back to where he kind of was, I believe, the couple of tenths back, and hopefully this time, he's only got a few laps left, so 0 mistakes, and hopefully he might be in for a chance at P7.
As JJ says, the only thing better to watch than this is the rain falling in Manchester, and keep doing that rain dance, Prince, because it was washed out, almost a washout last night, and let's hope it rains over there. And we're referring to the cricket, of course, the Ashes rivalry, Prince. If it continues to rain and Australia get a draw, they retain the Ashes. So that will be fantastic stuff. Or Ricardo finishing in the points. How good would that be, Prince? If Danny Ricciardo, he beat him in, he was quicker than Yuki in free practice 3, out-qualified him, got that Toro Rosso into Q2. It's not a Toro Rosso anymore, is it though? It's an Alpha Tauri, an Alpha Tauri. But God, if he could get into the points, that would be magnificent. As Ridwan here in this battle, we'll get back to the on-track stuff. And these cars, Ridwan seems to be shuffling along these straights here. It's quite distracting for me here, but if it's distracting for me, imagine what it's doing to him in the commentary box, in the cockpit of the car. I'm in the commentary. Oh, there's contact! There is contact there. And the shuffling put me off, but I've got to say, every day I'm shuffling. And remember that song? That's a throwback. But we are on the penultimate lap of this race, edge of the seed F1 race tonight. Looking forward to the race tonight. Prince at the Hungaroring down the inside. Can you get the move done? He does. He does, but now Groover is getting into the groove of his own now, and he's coming back at him through turns 2 and 3. How brave are they going to be through this part of the track, Prince? Because you can see that, oh, that's so close, Ridwan. Every day I'm shuffling, and he's got that move done into P7. We might have to head back, I think, to our leader, who is on his penultimate lap here, but one, and he's starting his final lap here. We'll get back to that in a moment. Random down there, Jono drifting his way around turn 4 there. Banana Josh outside the top 10. Then it's MMC in 10th. Nemo does a lot of talking in the chat and does a lot of talking on the track as well, but he'll be disappointed with that. He's a second off the lead. This is the battle we are paying good money to see here, ladies and gentlemen. And you can see that this vroom. And you can see that this battle showing no signs of letting up. I'm not sure whether it's happening on your screen, Prince, but that car shuffling its way along the circuit here at the Nurburgring is very off-putting, but I'm sure you would be seeing the same thing, Prince, because you're watching what I'm watching as well.
Yeah, you know, the car shuffling's a bit different to try and wrap your head around, and, you know, somebody who doesn't drive Gran Turismo, it's kind of, I'm struggling to keep up with it. You know, they're shuffling side to side. You know, it's like their money don't jiggle.
You got me shuffling side to side. Okay, and I'm shuffling over there with you. Okay, so Viper in 5th. He's going to stay there. Speedy tyres. Ranger is not going to quite get a move done here on Noodles, but this is what it's all about, ladies and gentlemen. Distinct Andrew. Aussie, Aussie, Aussie. Oi, oi, oi. As,
Sorry, I felt like I was getting
there we go. And I've got some interesting, there we go. Thank you, LGR. And you want to know something even more interesting here, Prince? Cast your eyes down to the left-hand corner of your screen. How long's this race going to go for, please?
45 minutes on the clock, so
there we go.
It's been a long 7-hour or so day, but it's creeping there.
It's been a long day from where we began, but I'll tell you all about it as Distinct Andrew crosses the line and wins round 1 of the RaceOnOz GT7 Division 1 Championship, and you can see Noodles will come across the line under pressure from Ranger Oz, but he's going to get the job done in P2, P3 for Ranger Oz. Good solid performance from him, and then it's Speedy Tyres coming through the final corner now to take P4, if you don't mind. Great performance from him. That livery not quite as exciting and doesn't quite get the juices flowing, but still a great livery. Viper in 5th, the man who he might not be regretting inviting me in to commentate, but we'll wait and see. Sidehog in 6th, the Kiwi off the back of the 4 hours at Watkins Glen, backing it up here with another 23 laps of the Nurburgring. And here comes the Riddler, the Shuffler, whatever you want to call him. He's going to finish in P7. Every lap he's shuffling. And Groover in 8th, Nemo in 9th inside the top 10 for everybody's favourite Kiwi. And great stuff. Thank you, Andrew. Pleasure to stream this. We do apologise about the issues we had earlier on. The main issue was me. Oh, look at that. 10th and 11th, 3 thousandths of a second. 3 milliseconds between the two of them. And if I'm not mistaken, it was the same between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen, wasn't it, for pole position at the Hungaroring later this evening. Jono in 12th. He'll be disappointed with that. Random is having a moment there towards the end of the lap. I think he might have got it all wrong there in the final part of the lap. And we...
Is that a podium, boys? Is that a podium?
That's a podium.
And Random getting amongst it. There we have it, ladies and gentlemen. And I've jumped into the chat again, but that is the end of the race. What is happening now? And thank you, Nemo. That is fantastic. Victory for Andrew Lee. Andy Lee taking victory there. And great stuff indeed. Distinct Andrew. And like we said, a few teething problems at the start of this one. But we're going to recap those final results for you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, there we have it. I'm slowly getting used to this GT7 stuff. It was Distinct Andrew there. Class of the field winning this race. And ahead of Noodles and just ahead of the third place man. And in Ranger Oz. Speedy Tyres in 4th. Viper in 5th. Cynorg in 6th. Ridwan F1 in 7th. Groover in 8th. Across the page, Nemo in 9th. Banana Josh in 10th. MMC in 11th. Jono Stan 96 in 12th. And Random rounding out your 13 runners here, ladies and gentlemen. Don't have things set up for a full podium interview. Might jump in for a yarn. And let me know if you want me to jump in on the PSN. No, I can't do that, actually. Stop everything. I can't do that. I don't have enough microphones. But you can jump in, Viper, if you want to have a quick chat, of course, here. And what a race it's been. And recapping the results on your screen. And, well, I thought I would lose it. And that's okay. Hopped on Discord. Couldn't find the server. Do we have a link for him, Prince? I'm not
yeah, we're just in the, we're in the Oz New Zealand PS5 Endurance commentary booth.
Yep, so
if you want to jump into the waiting room or somewhere around there, I can drag you in.
And, yeah, jump in, Viper. We'll have a quick chat, mate. Like I said... we're just getting things sorted here. Round 1 of this championship. And if you'll have me next week, I will be back next Sunday. Deep Forest Raceway. Love that track. Brings back some fantastic memories of Gran Turismo games gone by. That is the results. We're going to wait for Viper to jump in to the...
yeah, we should have him in here.
I think we have him in here.
I think I'm here.
We've got you, mate, loud and clear. Now, I do apologise, Viper, straight off the bat, my friend. We had some issues before this race started tonight. But, mate, you finished 5th yourself. Will you have us back next week?
Oh, mate, I think I would be stoked. I'm yet to go through the race and watch the stream. I think a couple of the boys had you in their ears throughout, so there were a couple of laughs, but I think we'd be very happy to have you boys back for a couple more rounds of the season, if not all, if you're available. So, very stoked to have some good quality streaming again for Australia's top Gran Turismo league.
Great stuff, and I've got to say, I've kind of roped Cam into this, who was he was here from a race before. But anyway, talk us through your race, mate, to P5 while we've got you there. 30 seconds off of P1 in the end, but it looked like Andrew was in a different race there tonight, mate. He just went off into the distance.
Oh, God, story of my life, honestly. Was playing a lot of catch-up from the start. Didn't really click with the track and car combo. The BRZ's a very fiddly beast. It struggles to get the nose in, and then it's very flighty sometimes on the change of direction, so you've really got to wrestle it down. And being on the controller tonight with my shoulder injury, you don't get that finesse that you normally do on a wheel, so it was actually a real challenge. And P5 for me, absolutely stoked. I'm not sure I could have done any better than that. So, Yeah, it was just a game of managing the tyres, see what I could come up with strategy-wise, and I probably lost out a little bit to Speedy Tyres, who pulled an absolute blinder with his fuel usage. But I'm pretty stoked with the top 5, especially finishing ahead of Simon, who is the reigning champion too. So can tick that one off.
Fantastic stuff, mate. Congratulations. It's been a bit of a long day for everybody, mate. But yeah, go back and watch the stream, have a few laughs, and we had a great fun along the way. Well done, Viper, says Cart Dude as well. And mate, thank you for joining us. And round 2, it's going to be fantastic. I'll have a little bit more time to prepare, mate. I think you had about 5 minutes changeover time there. But next week, Deep Forest Raceway, I think, for round 2, sprint round of the championship.
Yep, and I must say, if there's one round that anybody who hasn't watched Gran Turismo wants to be watching, it is the sprint round. That is by far our premier round of the season, where everything happens. There is the best racing, the best action, and just a whole lot of fun. The format is a 20-minute race followed by a reverse grid from the previous race's results. So the reverse grid always throws up a bit of spice, and you normally see some surprise winners. So keep an eye out, and I think you boys are going to have a lot of fun calling that one.
Round 2, 30th of July, of course, Deep Forest Raceway, the sprint round. That is going to be fantastic, kicking off from 8 p.m. Eastern Time, qualifying, and then race start at 8:10 Eastern Time for the Matt Simmons back round. Round 2 of the championship. We missed him here tonight, but he'll be back next week, ladies and gentlemen. That is a wrap. Thank you, Viper. Thank you, Voodoo. And we've been on since 3 p.m. Eastern Time here and on the East Coast, a little bit early for you over there in South Australia. But thank you to everybody. Thank you, everyone, for watching both streams over the course of today. We'll be back with more Race on Oz action next Sunday. And but for now, it's goodbye. Be kind to one another. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.